Come on in, guys. Welcome to Idled Out, where we talk all things Survivor. My name is Luke, and today we're talking about Survivor's most controversial jury results. Usually, on Survivor, the winner is pretty satisfying, especially considering the finalists they're up against. They played well, or at least better than the other people they're sitting next to at Final Tribal, and they're presented on the TV end as worthy of the win. And even if you're pulling for someone who ultimately comes in second or third, it's the show's job through editing to show you why the winner won. I mean, I was pulling for DK Chillin' at the Island of the Idols Final Tribal, but I totally get why Tommy won. Sometimes, however, the winner doesn't sit well with the audience. This can happen for a variety of reasons, whether Survivor failed to adequately present the winner's game, whether losing finalists had a legitimately good claim to the throne, or whether the jury was extra salty that particular season. Usually, all of the above. These controversial jury results often end up in legendary social media slap fights on Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit. Slap fights that I'm certain won't spill over into the comments section of this video, right? So today, I want to examine those controversial winners and why people thought the runner-up should have won. All that said, let's dig into Survivor's 5 most controversial jury results ever. At number 5 is the original Survivor vote, Richard's win over Kelly in Survivor Borneo. For people just getting around to watching Survivor's OG season now, it's incredibly obvious that Richard is running strategic circles around everyone the whole season, and clearly deserves to win in the end. But as the season originally aired, many viewers thought that the Toggy 4, and in particular Rich, were cheating by using strategy and alliances in this strategic, alliance-based game. It's almost impossible to imagine Survivor in its current form even existing without that groundwork laid by Rich in the original season, and the final jury result codifying using strategy as a legitimate path to the end and to the $1 million. But Rich's strategy of using strategy was controversial with the audience at home, to say the least. As Survivor became a TV juggernaut, questions of whether alliances are ethical dominated the public discourse, alongside other early 2000s concerns like who Tom from MySpace is or how to remove the blur when your sim gets naked. Well, guys, it's actually very easy. Simply wait until your sim is showering, hit Ctrl-Shift-C, type Move Object On, then remove the shower. Oh wait, sorry, I always forget. This is my Survivor channel, not my perverted Sims playthrough channel. It's so quaint now, but week after week, millions of people thought that Richard was cheating at a game where the best survivalist or most likable person should win. During the Borneo reunion, host Bryant Gumbel shows a poll CBS took of Survivor viewers where a whopping 68% of viewers say that no, the right person did not win, and 38% believe Richard didn't even play fair. Kind of messed up to tell the winner of the season to their face that most of the audience doesn't like you, but reunions have been worse.
Anorexic, eating disorder, what's the deal? Eric, dating Jamie, are you still a virgin?
Okay, so this is a legit book with what, your rules for Survivor?
These are the strategies with which I live my life.
Well, there's a book in the works that I'm working on. It's entitled Surviving Shame.
How's everything?
Going good.
Good.
Yeah, real good.
It's good to see you.
You drive me nuts, but at the end of the day, you've made me happier than I could ever ask to be. So will you marry me, please?
Shut the flipping front door.
The winner of Survivor!
At number 4 is the final result of Survivor AllStars, where Amber beat Boston Rob. It's no secret that AllStars was a dark, brutal season where all your faves were unceremoniously taken out far, far too early, leaving a relatively unlikable group of B and C characters to finish out the show. It's Survivor's own Game of Thrones. And like Game of Thrones, many viewers thought that AllStars didn't quite stick the landing at the end, particularly with Amber, of all people, taking the crown. To begin with people's objections to Amber, she was a curious inclusion in a season called AllStars because, well, she wasn't really all that much of a star. Her inclusion just reeks of, well, we couldn't get Colleen, or Elizabeth, or Sandra, or Heidi. What's Amber doing? More than all this, though, is that Boston Rob, her alliance mate turned cuddle buddy turned something else buddy, completely dominated the game from beginning to end, whether that be in challenges or in dictating who would be voted out. Only the problem for Rob is, he turned on his own alliances and real-life personal friends in a manner many found rather callous. Because Rob's so charming on TV, a lot of people at home didn't understand just how much these real-life betrayals hurt. And love him or hate him, there was a large portion of the audience who thought that Lex, Alicia, and Tom's pro-Amber jury votes were the result of a whole lot of sour grapes. Well, yes, they were sour grapes.
As good as your game was, you sold out your values, you sold out your character, and you sold out your friends for a stack of greenbacks.
It's almost like Amber knew that putting Rob out front in their alliance to take the blame for the brutal eliminations of the Mogo Mogos, Alicia, and Tom was a winning strategy. Amber also had a lot more agency in the game than we were shown. Rob has said time and time again that he and Amber made strategic decisions together. It was always a 50-50 partnership. Rob's just a much more TV-friendly personality, so he got all the confessionals. It all made for a finale where it seemed more like Rob lost than Amber won. Still, Rob ended up with a prize worth more than $1 million when he proposed to Amber at the finale. It's Survivor's own fairy tale romance, and the only fairy tale romance story featuring Rupert in a supporting role. Eat your heart out, Brothers Grimm. At number 3 is the final result of Survivor Edge of Extinction, in which... what's this guy's name? Somebody help me out here. Chip? Beat Gavin and Julie. Oh, Chris. His name is Chris. Chris was voted out in episode 3, which is usually not a winning move in Survivor, but because of the Edge of Extinction twist, returned at the final 6. At the heart of the EOE winner debate is whether Gavin's relatively quiet, full game run was a more impressive feat than Chris getting voted out early, chilling with all the jurors in a non-competitive environment for 3.5 weeks, building bonds and friendships, then re-entering the game with an idol, and, admittedly, playing an impressive fourth quarter game. On the one hand, Pineapple Boy is drawing dead against most everyone else who made the endgame. But on the other hand, Chris only played 13 days in the game proper, only 5 of which anyone cared about. It's a philosophical question, really. Chris's Edge victory validated the misery of those who spent a lot of time at the Edge. It's no surprise that all the jurors who voted for Gavin, Rick, Lauren, Aurora, and Kelly, spent little or no time with Chris on the Edge. Going out early and spending most of his 39 days on the Edge of Extinction undoubtedly gave Chris a massive social advantage. I think the producers thought players on the Edge would try and irritate each other into quitting, but instead they formed their own little supportive society, enduring brutal conditions together without the baggage of having to betray one another in the game proper. Personally, I don't begrudge Chris for his win now. I mean, he did everything he needed to do to win when he re-entered the game. And more importantly, it's pretty hilarious that we have a Survivor winner who was voted out third and then just reappeared at the end, invalidating the entire season. Like, that's pretty funny, you know? But given that we've seen 2 Final 6 entrants make the finals in the 2 Edge seasons, with 1 winner and 1 runner-up, it's clear that going to the Edge is a pretty good strategy. I would not be shocked if someone tries to intentionally get voted out first, and then bank on winning the re-entry as their actual strategy in the future. Will we see someone actually pull off an intentional Underwood? Dear God, I hope not. Will we see someone try to pull off an intentional Underwood and crash and burn in the Battle Back Challenge? Dear God, I hope so. At number 2 is the final result of Survivor Kaoh Rong, where Michelle beat Aubrey. Michelle and Aubrey stans have largely made peace following the repeat Survivor appearances from both these women and a favorable reappraisal of Michelle's winning game. But when Kaoh Rong concluded, there was a bona fide blood feud between these two sides. Why, just go on over to Reddit and type in Michelle Aubrey in the search bar, and you'll find 10,000 word essays on why each of them deserve to win, with 15,000 word rebuttals in the comments. It's all very, very extra. But then again, I'm the one who spends all my free time making videos about Survivor, so who am I to talk? For many, it was hard to understand how someone like Aubrey, who grew from anxious mess to strategic powerhouse, who lost all her allies to medevacs and random juror removal twists, and yet still persevered, who was the most charming narrator since Jonathan Penner, could lose. It was setback after setback that made Aubrey's journey to the end so engaging on screen, all the way from day 1, where she has a nervous breakdown, to Final 5, when she loses her closest ally Joe because the man simply cannot stop shoveling beef into his mouth. It's entirely plausible that if Joe stuck around to back up Aubrey instead of backing up his bowels with beef kebabs and getting medevaced, Aubrey wins. But that's just not the way the cookie crumbled. Michelle was really well liked by the jury. Really well liked. She was close with a bunch of people, really fun to be around, smart enough to know when to jump ship from a failing alliance, and had a handful of really clutch challenge wins. Aubrey was viewed as wishy-washy and reactive, owing to her crossed-out vote when Peter went home and her blind side of Debbie. I just don't think Aubrey really championed her game enough on the island. And I don't think dudes like Scott and Jason really care about how much you grew personally during the game. But at least they came into Final Tribal with an open mind.
Well done, Michelle.
The most controversial jury result is in Survivor Samoa, where Natalie beat Russell. This is one where I'm really tempted to blame the show. They really made no effort whatsoever to explain why Natalie won or why Russell lost. Pretty much cramming all the justification for how and why she won, which normally would be sprinkled throughout the season, you know, like how stories are told, into one drunken jury speech. Because Samoa served as an extended commercial for Heroes vs. Villains, where he also did extremely well, Russell got roughly 13 billion confessionals per episode. Leaving Natalie to get completely sandbagged in the edit of the season she won, not even given a confessional until episode 4, one of the least visible people in the entire narrative, and only getting a paltry 14 confessionals the entire season. Russell had that many confessionals halfway through episode 2. For context on how few confessionals that is, here are some other people who got 14 confessionals during their season. Go ahead, remember them. I dare you. When our winner has as many confessionals as an 11th place mechanical bull operator from season 9, we have some narrative issues. Like Michelle and Aubrey, both Natalie and Russell had legitimate claims to the title. Natalie deserves most of the credit for convincing Galoo to cannibalize their own, starting with Eric. And Russell deserves credit for his tireless search for idols and clutch plays of said idols. And this is even before Russell completely gave up on the social part of the game. He could have won against a lot of the endgamers not named Natalie or Brett. Speaking of, it's Natalie's great social game that earned her the win. Something you really had to squint to see. Natalie being likable wasn't really shown much because Natalie wasn't really shown much. Russell's back-to-back losses to relatively under-the-radar women culminated in a suggestion so dumb, I'm surprised the producers didn't implement it immediately.
You've had 78 days to talk. I'll give you 10 seconds to tell me the flaw.
What needs to happen is America needs to have a percentage of the votes.
There are, of course, several problems with this. Through the magic of editing, the producers could guide the audience towards voting for whoever they wanted. People would play to win America's vote rather than to win jury votes. And most importantly, the American public is notoriously terrible at democracy. Got nothing else for ya. If you love me more than Joe loves beef kebabs, like and subscribe, and I'll get you more Survivor content just like this. Until next time, don't get idled out.